when we used to know each other's names, hanging out all day long and playing silly games. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's get back to love.
Hey, that what you just heard was Melba Moore's new single, Just Dance, from her forthcoming album, Forevermore, which will be available soon. Stay tuned, and the interview with her is up next. Hello, everybody. This is Tony, and I'm here today with Miss Melba Moore. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to be with you, Tony.
Oh, thank you for having me today. Well, thank you for being here today, not having me. Excuse me. Now, I want to first know, what inspired you to do music out of all the things that you could have done?
No, that's the only thing I could have done. I come from a musical family, so perhaps there were other things I could have done. But I started out as a single child of only child of a single parent. My mother,
right.
But my mother was a professional singer. So part of the challenge or the difficulty was that she was away traveling all the time singing. And also those early days, there was no music in my life. But she married a musician, and he had a daughter and a son. And later on, we had 2 more brothers. So I went from being an only child to one of 5 children, and music was the centerpiece of our lives. So my parents would rehearse at home. They made us all take piano lessons, and so all of us really wound up very, very close to music. One of my brothers was an attorney, but music was his hobby. My oldest brother, who's passed away, was a music professor and a jazz piano player. My sister was a history teacher, but she sings all the time, and I just do it all the time.
Okay, so now you said your mother sang professionally, right?
Yes, she did. She's passed away now.
Okay. Now, did you, before you got into the business to start singing professionally yourself, did you know about the business and all that it entailed?
Oh, absolutely not. You just have dreams, you know. And the first probably inkling that I have of what it might be like was my mother, who was very beautiful naturally. She was a pretty young woman, and she had you know, like most of us who are going to be on the stage, you have a propensity for glamour and fantasy and dreaming. So that's what I thought show business was.
Okay, so now in 1970, you won a Tony Award for Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical. Now, what was that feeling like for you to win that kind of award?
Okay, well, from what I understand, I'm at least among the first black actresses to do that. So I knew it was something. Well, to get an award of any kind, you know that's important. But when you're in a field where really there's not a lot of black people, and well, in that category, I think I was the first supporting actress.
Right.
And so you just, you know, well, what can I say, stunned. Well, first of all, my background was not theater. I didn't have any training in it. I didn't have any experience in it. It came about through a series of coincidences. And so I kind of said, okay, to make a long story a little bit shorter, I was trying to learn how to audition because I didn't know how to audition. And I was already in the Broadway musical Hair, but I didn't audition to get into it. So one of the girls in the course was telling me about how you go up for auditions and what it was like. And so I was trying to learn how to audition, but I got the part, and the part happened to be the role of LuttieBelle GussieMae Jenkins in the play, in the musical Purlie, which is the play that I got the Tony Award for. I'm telling you all of this, Tony, because I don't want to just say that it was a shock. I want to just paint a little bit of a picture for you that I had no clue what this was. I'd never heard of a Tony Award.
Right.
So, I mean, it was shockingly, fabulously, I'm speechless. It was exciting. It was beautiful. And I can even look back now and see that it was, pioneering.
Right. Okay, and also in 1970, you had your first album come out, I Got Love, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now what was that situation like for you? Once you got into it, you know, you started making the record. and you seen what it was like, how it was, the long hours, and everything.
No, Tony. You've been Googling me, and so I got to kind of fill in a few of the spaces for you.
Okay.
My first occupation was as a public school music teacher.
Right.
Okay. When I left that, I started work as a studio singer, artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in the recording industry. So I knew what the hours, I knew what it was, and my mother was a recording artist, so I knew that. But I wasn't a solo artist yet. I didn't get that offer until I got a Tony Award. Once I became famous, then I got offered recording contracts with myself as a leading artist. And so, let me see, how can I put it? I was very familiar with the recording industry, but I wasn't familiar with what my recording style was. I was just a developing artist. Actually, I was finding that out on the Broadway stage kind of by accident.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll paint a better picture of it for you.
Okay, so now when the first album, after you completed it and it came out, what were your expectations for the album, seeing that it was your first album? Solo, rather.
I don't really know, because I know come from a musical and show business family. Mm-hmm. It might hit, it might not. You expect to have a career in as a recording artist. So I'm trying to look back and think. I think because I was around so many recording artists, and they just put out records. It's fabulous if you have a hit record. But I was I think I was trying to find my way as an artist, as a performer, learning really what the business was like for myself, because it was different for me than it was for my parents. Although my mother was a recording artist and my stepfather did some recordings too, it came to them differently. So I think there was a lot for me to take in, rather than just, oh my God. Of course, I did have that feeling. Oh my God, I'm going to have my own record. I'm going to be singing lead. I'm going to be the star. It's going to be my record. I had all that. But there was a lot more to it. And, because you're trying to figure out, well, what kind of music should I sing? What is my style? I don't sound like Dionne Warwick. I can't sing like Aretha Franklin. Who in heaven's name am I? It was more like that.
Oh, goodness.
And of course, I got a recording contract because I became well known from Broadway. Now, back in those days, Broadway and recording, and perhaps these days too, they were like two different planets. So it was a matter too of getting the songwriters and producers that were going to help you make a popular contemporary recording. That music was nothing like a Broadway music was.
Right.
So there was a lot to consider. It would have been like a really, really great transition.
Okay, so now you've done at least over 20 albums now?
Yes.
And I know that a lot of singers say, no, I love my job, I love what I do, But how do you find so much material to write about? And do you ever feel discouraged from writing or making music at any point in time?
All of the above. I couldn't do that by myself. I've had wonderful people like my now ex-husband. I might as well say his name because he really is responsible for me having a good, solid recording career. His name is Charles Huggins. We were married, and we have a daughter, and we started our own company, our own production company, which was unheard of for anybody black in that day. Anybody that had a company, first of all, was people like Philly International and Motown and some of them. They were record companies. There were no production companies. People, companies that actually managed and groomed people. But we managed me, and we determined that we would try to find out what my style was, how to start to get songwriters and producers to get me hit records. And Charles Huggins went out and got the best songwriters. He made the relationships with the recording companies.
Right.
Because there's a whole set of executives that you don't have time to do nothing else but the business. So if you're an artist, you really can't do that. You have to have a manager and a good, partner in helping you just in the recording career. Now, he didn't know anything about the Broadway aspect of my career. He had to learn that. But
Right.
but that's why my career took a turn towards focusing on just recording and really becoming an R&B recording artist, because that was his gift. He didn't really have any experience at it, but he was black, and young, and creative, and had a love for music, and he still has a gift for business, for entrepreneurism. And so, and I was the artist. It was a perfect combination for us to explore and see what we could do with me as a recording artist. And that's how we proceeded. And he did a fabulous job. For instance, he went out and got me signed with Buddha Records, Mercury Records. He got me signed with all the major companies that I've ever been with. He did that.
Right.
And so you say, how did I get all this material? He and a whole stable of wonderful people that we called Hush Productions as a team, they went out and got the songwriters, the producers. I've had the greatest songwriters and the producers of the of the 70s and the 80s, because they went out and got them. That's how it happened. Only one album, did I collaborate with writing on, because I don't know, people think you can write because you want to write. No, that's a talent and a gift. I wish I could write like McFadden and Whitehead. There's some of the great songwriters. But I sing the songs, but somebody else got to write them. I've done some writing, and I think once we get to this next level in my career and I have a little time, I'd like to collaborate with some really great songwriters, because I think I could. But, it's like asking them, okay, now you get up and sing. Oh. So I just want to say it's a great talent that some people have, and you want to give respect to that. And I know we hear a lot of music, so it might sound like it's easy, but it's easy if you know how.
Now, some people might say they rather write their music because they want the music to come exactly from them when they're singing. So do you feel that way sometimes, or do you just rather let the professionals that you call it write it, and you just sing it the way you want to? If
I could write as good as they did, yes, I would want to, because I have the way that I express myself. But I don't have that talent, so I have to find people that I can work really well with. That I have a style now, I've developed a style that they make, and you can kind of like go back and listen to my music and see what my basic style is, and let them be the talented writers that actually tailor make songs for me. Then it's almost like I wrote it.
Right. Okay, now I know you have your new CD coming up, Forevermore.
Yes.
And you just released, you have your song Just Dance.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. Now, Just Dance sounds a little different for you. What inspired this song?
Well, it's a hit record, first of all. I think it sounds different for me because it's contemporary and it's who I am now. People grow. You don't change who you are, but you grow and you keep up your craft. And actually, praise the Lord, I can do a little bit more than I was able to before. Before I was like a real lyric soprano, but now that I'm older, I have more of a bottom and more fullness. Now that I've sung so much, I have more flexibility, and I have kind of like a beginning and a middle and an end that I like to do with songs. And of course, but now what you hear most of in a recording, you hear the songwriter and the producer. Because they write the music, as they make the instrumentation, they do the backup. So what you hear primarily is Dominic McFadden and Phil, Phone Notes he calls himself. He's a producer. But of course, since they want me to be the best that I can be, I'm the prominent instrument that you hear. But I hope it does sound a little bit, at least now, not different than, not out of my character, but now, yeah.
So now, after hearing that, and you said it sounds a little different, what would you say this CD is going to entail as far as sound and just the music?
Well, it's going to be musical, sweet. It's going to have wonderful, wonderful beats like we love. It's going to be about subjects that are important. I think, for instance, Just Dance is a wonderful, happy, happy, happy song. But the lyrics are, remember when we used to know each other's names? Hanging out all day, playing silly games. Let's take it back to the good times music could bring. Let's, if we just dance, if we just sing, we could make the world live in harmony. So they're going to be positive messages. I think that's so simple, but it's so strong. It's going to be the first single from this was "Love Is," and the lyrics are: some people say love can break your heart.
Right.
Some people say, it'll just make things worse. But I say love is everything.
That's right.
It's just amazing. God has to be love. Or how can you find so many zillions of ways of saying what love is, or that I love, or that the types of love that there is? And I'm sure, I'm saying that because, what are you going to say? It's going to be a love song? Every song is a love song. But I think they're going to have freshness. They're going to be contemporary, but I'm a mature person. I'm a born-again Christian, so I think very, very deeply about life, and I'm very concerned about making a positive impression. I want new audience, young audience to listen to my songs, and I want them to say, oh, wow, I like that. I want to sing that. I want to be like that. And when they want to sing like that, they want to be like that, it's something positive that their parents would be proud of.
Right.
It's going to be like that.
Well, I can tell you that I'm only 18, and I know who Melba Moore is, so I can tell you that you have done something right.
Great. Well, you would be the one to let me know right now, because you're not the future, you're the present.
Right. That's right.
Yes.
But so now, do you have any vision or expectation for this album or anything like that?
Well, we just shot the video for Just Dance.
Yes.
And right now, everybody's response to the song, the music, is over the top, positive. So I think that the music is going to be very well accepted. I think that I'm already having people come to me and ask me, to join my team in promoting it and marketing it. Right. And so, besides the music being solid, besides me being in good health and being able to perform the music right, the other issue is marketing. So I think this one's going to be the bomb.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the big one. Huh?
You have to think highly of your work and yourself, so that's nothing but the truth.
Yes, you always hope and think that, but I think we really have been, we've been waiting on God on this one. I didn't put this out because, I say, okay, it's time to do this. I said, well, you know what, Lord, I got no song right now. Would you send me something? And I don't go out looking for them anymore, but of course my manager does. But I asked God, would you please send me what you want me to do? And we're doing it that way. And so when I sense and feel and I say, yeah, I like this. And of course, as a professional, I've learned to know what hits are. And I've learned to know what people want from me or what they will accept from me. And I've learned to know whether it's a hit or not if I can sing the song.
Right.
And I think all those elements are going to be what drives this album, and that's why it's going to be very successful.
I'm telling you, you can do it. I know you can because, I know Ann Nesby, you all worked on Fighting Temptations together.
Yes.
And she just released a new album herself, maybe like a month or two ago. And she had a sort of a new sound for her on there, but the album was lovely. It was great.
Yes.
So I'm expecting the same thing from you.
Yay.
So we'll see, but I'm sure it will be great. So I have no worries.
Thank you. And
so,
the thing today is too. And I like it better that way. You go directly to your public, so you know right away if it's good or not.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And now you get to sample songs. You get to, and I don't mean sample as in use them for another song, but as in listen to them before you buy them, and all the different stuff. So now you can actually choose what you want to have.
Right. And I think that should be the criteria by which, the album is judged. I can think it's fabulous, but I'm not the customer. There's two parts to this act. you know, the artist and the public. They're the other part of the act. So.
Right. Okay, now let's go to acting for a little.
Okay.
You've done a number of stage work, from Hair to Purlie and many more. And you've even done some movies, from Fighting Temptations and, you know, even more than that. What do you think is, or do you choose between the acting and the singing now, or do you feel like they're both equally balanced?
No, they're not equally balanced. I fell into acting, and I love doing it, and I've been very, very blessed. I really only had successful theatrical experiences. I also, I don't know if you know, but I played the female lead in Les Misérables. I played the role of Fantine.
Right.
Which is very unusual because it's about the French Revolution. It's not about black people, not even about American culture. So that was an unusual opportunity. I also played in Timbuktu opposite Eartha Kitt before she passed away. And I've really only done like 4 plays, but they've all been hugely successful. I mean, on Broadway. I have traveled with Ain't Misbehavin'. I have traveled with Chicago, but those have all been major theater pieces. So my hope is I've been a good girl, and God will send me some more successful theater. But I don't look at them as something I choose. Oh, can I do this or can I do that? I'm saying if I'm a good girl, God will let me do some more.
That's right.
I think music is my centerpiece. It's my calling. It's my anointing. It's my ministry.
Right. Now, when you're doing stage work, you know, you're in front of thousands of people, and you have to, you know, get those notes right. You have to say the lines right, you know. So is that scary for you, seeing what you've done already? Has it been a scary situation, you know, looking out at the audience and hoping, oh, I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't say the wrong word, excuse me.
Well, you know,
is that a scary situation?
Tony, every time I get ready to go on the stage, something says, Mama, why did you want to be in this business? I hate this business. I can't. I never get over stage fright. And it's really even worse if I'm doing a theater piece or something that's new. But it happens even when I'm just doing my concert. And I've done these songs for the last 20 years. But, you know, your voice can go wrong. You may not do a theater with the wind blowing on you the wrong way. Anything can happen. So it's always nerve-wracking. I wish it would go away. But I feel like when you're in that frame of mind, you say, okay, what can I do to make sure everything's all right? And what you do is you plan properly. You prepare. You go over everything. You make sure you respect your art and your audience. And by the time you do that about 25 times before you go on the stage, you kind of calm down a little bit.
Right. I'm telling you, I know what the nerve-wracking feeling is like, although I'm not in front of millions of people or thousands of people, because I get nervous just talking to you all here. But once, you know, I ask you questions and you talk to me just like we're at a family reunion, it's, you know, I'm fine.
Right. And it just seems like a natural thing. I think it's because you care.
Right. Now, the Fighting Temptations movie you did in 2003, along with Beyonce, Cuba Gooding Jr., and there's the Faith Evans, and many more. Now, what was that situation like for you, since it was a movie and not stage work this time? Was it different, would you say, or was it a better experience, or what was it for you?
It's very different because you do it in small sections. And so I think it's easier because you take small sections. You don't have to remember a whole play.
Okay.
You know, a whole piece. In that sense, it's easier. I think it's easier, to be honest with you, because even if you, you know, you take one section, you'll do it several times. You'll do it until they feel like it's right. But you also do it several times so they can get different angles.
Right.
So you get a lot of times to do it. Now, the technique is very, very, very different because when you're in the theater, you have to project and you have to have, I guess, a kind of an inner vision of what your body looks like. That has to reach, you know, the last person. Or if you're working for like, you know, 18,000 seater, you know you can't. So you know there's probably going to be screens and stuff. But you know you got to at least use the stage and move back and forth and stuff. But the thing about cameras, you have to do exactly the opposite. It took me a while to get that. I'd be hollering and screaming at the gate, Miss Moore, you have a microphone right in front of you. You cannot scream right now, and you have to bring your actions way down. You're too big. That took me a bit of getting used to. But if you can, and then the way you express yourself is quite a bit different on the camera than you would if you were live. So it's very different. But to me, I think it's easier.
Okay, well that's good. Now, throughout your career, you've created many friendships with many artists that we know and people, but you have a special relationship with Mr. Freddie Jackson.
Yeah.
And I just have to tell you, I just love you all's relationship as a friendship. I just love that. And I've seen a show on YouTube one time, and you all sang not against each other but with each other, and it was amazing.
Well, he's amazing, you know.
It was amazing.
When we see a duet, I have to be trying to keep up with him, and then he'll go in his character. Oh, you be trying to do all them long notes. But that is our relationship. We adore each other, and both of us separately, we're fun. We like to have fun, and when we're with each other, it's just laughing. I guess we act like we're kids. I guess we just like to laugh and have fun.
You know what? I still wonder how you hit those high notes. Oh my goodness!
Well,
it just chills over your body.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm getting over a cold.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a lot of the notes were not always there. Some of the high notes, especially the ones I kind of were, I guess on the song like Lean On Me, where I'm really singing it loud, that wasn't always there. I could always sing it soft, but after a while my voice got stronger and I could sing it louder, and it kept getting longer and louder. And as I continued to take care of my voice and sing more, I can sing higher notes, and I can sing a little bit more flexible. I can do a few little riffs now up high, you know. But now, I guess from having a few colds too, I also have a bottom that's nice and warm and full. So I have more notes in my whole range now than I did before.
Wow. So do you feel like you've gotten better as you've gotten older?
Absolutely. But I'm telling you, you can't take that for granted, because usually you just get older.
Right.
But if you
That's right.
if you study how your body works and what it can take and what it can't take, and the fact that you use your voice like an athlete and it has to have special treatment, if you give it what it needs in the vocal cords in terms of just the human body, it will never wear out. If you live to be 100 years old, you can still sing.
Right.
And it should stay as good as it was or get better, but you have to study it and figure out what it needs. Well, I mean, you know, if you're an athlete or a dancer, maybe your ankles or your knees will wear out, or your hip joints will wear out, but the vocal cords won't wear out if you get off them potato chips.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I have to tell you that I've seen how old you are. I won't say it, but you have an absolute youth to you that like no other person. I don't know what it is, but you must be doing something right at home.
Well, the first thing I do, excuse me, is ask God, what does He want to do? Deal with me. He said He ain't coming back from no beat up, broke down, wrinkled up, wore out, tore up from the floor up bride. So He wants us, excuse me, not just me, us to keep our weight right and stay healthy, work out, take care of our gifts, and if we do that, He will renew and restore our youth. I believe that's the secret.
Wow. Well, I think
it's a lifestyle. It's a daily thing, but it's also a holy life. It's not just a diet, you know.
Right. Now, looking back over your career, which has spanned for over 30, 40 years,
yes.
What are you most proud of today?
Wow. You know, I think besides my family and everything, and the wonderful people that helped me live my life and do what I do, I don't know if I'm proud of, but I'm grateful for all the work that's gone into me having a recording career.
Right.
If I were to pick one, I think I'm still going to have lots of wonderful times in theater, too, because God is good. But recordings, they don't go away. And I've had some really, really rough times in my life, in my private life, that meant for a while I didn't even have my career. But God brought it back to me. I got it back. And for the first time, for instance, all the celebrities and stars have spent many, many, many years in the UK and Europe. That's where they make kings and queens of us. I never got to do that before, but because the recordings are still around, I'm starting to do that now. So I would say I'm most grateful for that. I don't say proud, because like I said, if it wasn't for my ex-husband, Charles Huggins, and the Hush Productions team that worked tirelessly over, 15, 20 years, day in and day out, to not only to get me to record them, but to market them, to have the company to take care of me, to do that so that they're here.
Right.
I almost have a fresh start right now.
It's like you're brand new again, so that's great.
Yeah, that's amazing to me.
Great. You know what? I've seen this doesn't pertain to the music, but I've seen a comment under an interview that you did on YouTube somewhere. I don't remember the name, don't ask me. But somebody commented and said that they love the way that you are not afraid to talk about the dark places and the dark things that you went through your life. And they admire you for that, unlike some other artists. But why do you think that you're so open with speaking about your life and the things that you went through?
Excuse me. Because I'm a born-again Christian, and what I learned was that's your testimony. And because when I say I'm a born-again Christian, that's really my job. That's what I do every day. So, going through this, you eventually see, oh, okay, well, first of all, that I made my daily home really in the church. And because I didn't have any career, so I had to learn all the Christian. I was born again, so I didn't have to. I like to learn all the Christian songs because I didn't know them before.
Right.
And when they give you a chance to sing, they want to know what did Jesus do for you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So then I realized, oh my goodness, that's what the secular people call your autobiography. Yeah, so that's your story. And during the time that I had to tell my story, it really literally saved my life, because what my ex-husband had done was to divorce me without me knowing it, through forgery and fraud and a whole lot of crazy things. And by the time I found out about it, I actually had to go to press and bring them documents, because he had spread rumors that I was a crack addict and that a whole lot of things.
Right,
and by the time I found out about it, people thought I was this crazy crackhead who, and so I had to fight that. And what I had to do was I had to go public with what had happened to me, and I had to choose very carefully the things that I talked about. They had to be things that could be documented.
Right.
Otherwise, the newspapers and stuff wouldn't tell the story because they could be sued.
Okay.
So that's really the reason. It was not a matter of being fearful or ashamed of what people would say about me. It was a matter of being afraid that I might wind up in an alley somewhere, because at one point my husband actually assaulted me.
Wow.
And I was, I got a protection order and all that stuff, and I was afraid, because, he knew that I had found out that some of those things that he did, I guess he was afraid that, that they were criminal acts. And so I really did it for my protection. I went public and brought documents to show them that I didn't sign this, I didn't sign that, I didn't do this, and this is what this is about. And then I countersued for a proper divorce.
Right.
So that all those documents are, they're public. They're public.
Right, right.
But that's the reason. It's been a hard road, honey.
That's right. But you know what? As long as you keep putting out positive and being yourself and just putting out your music, I promise you, the real people and the real fans will see who the real Melba Moore is. So
I think that's
you
the
have
point.
no worries. You have no worries.
I think that's the point, to be the best of who you are. And, you know, you wouldn't have the music if you didn't have a life first, you know.
Right, right. That's the thing. And then when you do the music, people want to know who you are. They want to know what you do from day to day. They want to know what you listen to and how you're doing it and, you know, all this kind of stuff. They want to know about you.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. If you have some, what can I say, mystery or the life that God gives you to put into the music, is going to make people interested. And that's a better reason for them to ask you questions than you going up and saying, well, this is my latest record and this who wrote it, and that's all.
Right.
No, you got it exactly right.
Right. So now looking back, what would you say has been your greatest lesson of them all, out of your whole career, out of your personal life, with your career? Look, what has been your greatest lesson of everything?
I would say forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first song on this CD
Okay.
is from my ex-husband that I told you about. Did all the things I just told you he did.
Uh-huh.
But he's not that person anymore. Praise the Lord.
Right.
And I wasn't speaking to him, not because I was angry with him, but he was so disruptive and so so negative. You know, it would always open the door to something, you know, really bad. So I just shut it down. I wouldn't allow him to have any communication with me. But
Right.
Our daughter told me that a mutual friend of ours had passed away, and said that her dad, you know, my ex-husband, asked if I would like to come. They would be honored to have me there too. They considered me a friend, and it was somebody from the industry as well. That's right. Of course, yes, of course. And I had forgiven him on my own, but I had no contact with him. So forgiveness at long distance is easy. When you're in somebody's face and they've done something to you, you try to have a relationship with them, and they're still the same person that they were. You kind of really can't do that. I mean, you can forgive them, but you have to be on your path and they're on theirs, or else you're entangled again because they still do that, you know. But at the funeral, my daughter sat between us. No, excuse me, I sat in the middle. And we were just sitting there. I wasn't not speaking to him, and I didn't think he was going to argue at nobody's funeral, but we were estranged.
Right.
So I was sitting there nicely. And so he reached over and touched my daughter's hand and touched my hand and put them together like we were family and said, now would you please forgive me for all the terrible things I did to you over the years? And, of course, I sat there with my mouth hanging open because he was not the type of person to ever do that.
Right,
and once I came to, I said, of course. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, Tony, is because once we left the funeral, he told my daughter, he said, I want you to tell your mom, when she's ready, I'm not going to push her. I would like to sit down and break bread with her, and I have something for her. What he had for me was this song called Love Is, that I was just telling you some of the lyrics.
Right.
But if I hadn't forgiven him, I still wouldn't be talking to him. I never would have got the song.
Right.
So I would say forgiveness. And, of course, our family is not what it was, but it's a holy family. And it reminds us all that what God puts together, you can't tear it apart.
That's right. All
right. Now we're not, you know, honeymooners like we were, but I believe that we're on what God calls the agape love, the higher love, where you're really concerned and, you know, caring about our daughter, first of all, that she has now, perhaps what she couldn't have when we were trying to live together and it wasn't working. Many things we can give her, and we can set a good example for her separately and together, not as we were before, but we're all grown now, you know. And so I would say forgiveness.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so very much for being here and doing this with me today and taking time out of your day because I know you're a busy woman. I want to thank you so very much for doing this with me today. Before we go, please let everybody know where they can find you on social media or wherever else, your websites and everything else.
Thank you, Tony. You can find me on melbamore.com. That's my website. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter. And let me see, my name is Melba with the number 1.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so very much for doing this again with me today, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Oh, no problem.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.